You're watching Rules of the Game with Bill Krugh, brought to you by these fine sponsors. Albert Sporting Goods, American Legion Post 323, All Glaze Equipment Rental, Capabilities, David Wabacher Attorney, Eagles 767, FCA, Fowler's TV, Freedom Marketing Strategies, Grand Lake Roofing, Guarneri's Pizzeria, Jackalope Stash, Larry Schaff Auto Sales, Laura Yelton State Farm, MHS Alumni Foundation, Miller Funeral Homes, Minster Bank, Plus One Professional Real Estate, Ryder Rooters, Roots Pub, St. Mary's Foundry, Sean Barnett Electrical, Spees Chiropractic and Wellness Center, Spring Street Storage, TSC, and Varsity Lanes.
Hello and welcome to Rules of the Game with Bill Krugh. I'm your host, Zach Ferrall. Each week we bring local official Bill Krugh into the locker room here, and we look at some of the clips from the previous week's game. Bill, we had 18 clips from last game, 200 total yards of penalties in the game between the two teams, so lots of things to look at. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Love it.
So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to go through 9 clips, take a break, and then come back and do the second 9. So we'll jump in here and get started right away. This first one was an opening kickoff, offsides on the kicking team here.
Yeah. It's no way to start a game, is it?
Right. Well, it set a tone for the game, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. He looks pretty far off sides, too.
You think it's on number 24 right there running?
That's who I see, yeah.
Okay. That's what I saw, too. At the time, we thought there may have been 1 or even 2 players for St. Mary's, but watching it again, it looks like 24 is probably the culprit right there. Jumping into the second clip. This was just a basic, I think, neutral zone infraction, or I always call it wrong now. Is it an encroachment?
It's encroachment,
defense?
yep.
Okay. So I think if we can watch that again, I think number 72 for Shawnee, which is their
which one?
Left D tackle.
Okay.
I think maybe his arm and helmet is just a little bit too far there.
It must have been. The guy that threw the flag up there at the top, the head linesman, he would have the best look at it.
And do they normally wait until the play gets ready to go before they call that, or can they call it at any time?
When the play is imminent.
Okay, play is imminent.
When the snap is imminent, when it's going to happen, you can get it then. Yep.
And that stops the play.
That stops the play from any
there's nothing called.
Contact or anything else.
Gotcha. This next clip here was a pass interference call on St. Mary's. We'll maybe try to slow it down here and get your thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of think that's a good call because, he's making a play on the ball, but he went right through the guy's back to do it. You can see he's all over his back right there, and the guy's going forward. He's falling forward in that where it stopped right there. That's probably a pretty good call.
Pretty obvious when you go up on the shoulders like that before the ball gets there.
Yep.
Well, this next call was a holding on the Shawnee's right tackle. So I think they tried to run it out to the right side here. So if we watch that right tackle, number 4 on 44, actually might have been a guard that actually picked up. It was on 44, Owen Ott.
Okay, it wasn't the tackle. I watched that tackle the whole way.
Right, I think it was the guard. I actually think it was that wing back right there. So he grabs him on the shoulder, and there's just a little bit of pull right there. I thought it was maybe a little ticky-tacky.
Didn't look like much to me either, Zach.
Fortunately, it was against Shawnee, so we didn't have to complain too hard. Okay, this next play, clip number 5, was a viewer question, and it was in regards to the beanbags. When they're thrown, when the ball's on the ground or lost, where are the beanbags supposed to be thrown to? So this was a fumble by Shawnee, and you can see some beanbags kind of tossed in here at the end.
Okay, and tell you the truth, I didn't see one beanbag, but my eyes aren't the greatest on a small screen
let's
like
watch
that.
it. Yeah, let's watch it one more time here.
They need to be thrown at the line where he fumbled the ball.
Okay.
Okay? Where does he fumble the ball?
So he fumbles
Right
it out there.
So they should be.
And you can see just the
Yep.
beanbags just kind of tossed in the air right there.
And see where they're all thrown towards the pile?
Right.
They really don't need to be thrown there. They just need to be thrown towards the line of where he fumbled the ball.
So it would be okay if he even threw that beanbag maybe down the hash and just marking
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's probably where, like, the umpire who's here in the middle running towards the pile right now, he's the one that's going to go diving in there and finding who actually has the ball. But it would have been okay for him just to drop the ball, drop his beanbag straight forward right about the hash where he is. And the back judge there, he could have thrown it in about the numbers, about the same spot. And the referee, who is you can't see on the line, on the screen there, he's in the backfield, and he would have seen it too, and his beanbag would have come flying up there too. Yeah, it doesn't have to be right where the ball is. It just needs to be where the line of when he fumbled the ball.
And that was a big fourth down there. I think if we play it a little bit longer, I think the back judge also throws a beanbag in right here. Maybe he had already done it. So a couple of beanbags getting thrown in there, but the important thing is they don't need to be thrown where the ball is or into the pile.
Correct.
They can just be thrown to mark the line that
Where he
the
fumbled,
hash mark.
when he actually lost the ball. Yeah, that's where you need to. That's where the loose ball. That's where the run ended and the loose ball play starts.
Okay, we've seen these a couple times this year on St. Mary's. This was a chop block on St. Mary's. So what you're going to see is the center shoot out, and then the guard pushes the guy over the center there.
Okay.
Were you able to see that?
I saw the center shoot out.
Let's watch this one more time. So if you're watching the center and the left guard, the center shoots out, left guard pushes the guy then over the center. So the center's laying on the ground there, and that other guy's on top, and that's where they called that.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what.
Is that called a chop block or a high-low block, or is that?
It's called a chop block.
Okay.
The actual term is chop block.
And that's what we talked about earlier in the season. If somebody's engaged in somebody's feet, somebody can't come out over the top of
Exactly. Or if he's even engaged up high, someone can't come in then low.
Okay. This next clip was a close catch. This was the St. Mary's' early touchdown through the air, by the way. Shawnee definitely thought that it was bobbled. It's very hard for us to see exactly, but I was just wondering if we can maybe slow it down or try to rewatch it there. Do you think it was a good catch? And is the official in the right position to make that call?
Is the official on the goal line?
He was. So he's right there on the goal. Well, I guess he wasn't necessarily all the way back there yet.
Yeah, the back judge doesn't want to let the guys get behind him.
Okay.
But he also doesn't want to be out of the back of the end zone either. So he needs to be at least on the goal line. And in his defense, he was on the right side. He was in the middle of the field, and the ball was actually thrown away from him on the opposite side of the receiver's body. So it was tough for him to see that right there.
Well, and we know
he's just a hair behind
defensive
it.
players are always going to say that was incomplete. And
Yeah.
the offensive are always going to say
Now,
it was complete.
did he bobble it? I couldn't tell.
Let's watch that one more time. So this was Trey Moore's big touchdown early on. It's just
Looks like a heck of a catch to me.
Yeah, it's hard
Don't
to
you?
see, but it looks like his arms are underneath it there, and I don't see. We got a pretty good angle here,
Yeah,
and I don't see
yeah.
the ball moving or bouncing around enough to. I'm always gonna give that to the receiver.
Well, even if the ball bobbled around, it doesn't look like the ball ever hit the ground.
Right.
So that's a catch. That was a good call by that official.
Good. I wondered if you could help with this next one on the extra point. Then Shawnee was called, I think, for hurdling, but it was not over the snapper. It was on the left side of the line here.
He jumped.
It's
but
definitely
he didn't.
against Shawnee. So I would have thought encroachment would have called the play dead, but it was assessed to the kickoff.
Yeah, it would be. Okay, on a scoring play, you have the option of taking it They could have taken the points off the board and moved the ball up closer, and then St. Mary's could have went for 2, or you can take it on the kickoff, the ensuing kickoff. But talking about that play right there.
Are you able to see what was called?
No, I have no idea what was called.
Because you're allowed to jump like that?
Well, he didn't jump over anyone.
Okay. I was just wondering if maybe
he jumped over that guy's hand.
Gotcha. So you think maybe just from his angle he thought that he jumped over somebody?
Apparently, did you see him jump over anyone?
No, I agree.
So
I think that's what the call was. That's the only thing. I watched the clip several times last night, and that's the only thing I can find that they wouldn't have. I don't think they would have called defensive holding or something like that.
What did they? It was 15 yards.
Yes.
And there was nothing else. I can't help you here. Didn't see anything.
Gotcha. This next call, some of the Shawnee fans thought this should be a late hit, or I guess unsportsmanlike. We thought it was a clean hit because the ball was tipped right there by the receiver, and then the defensive back just hit him after the fact.
The defensive back has a right to complete the play just like the offensive guy does, and even though the ball was tipped, he was going to make the tackle, and it wasn't a flagrant hit. It wasn't a hit high. He didn't slam the guy to the ground. He's thinking the guy's going to catch the ball.
And even if it wasn't tipped, you don't think that would have been a bad play in it either?
No, if the ball's not tipped, the kid has a chance to make the catch, and he needs to tackle the ball carrier. So nothing there looked like it was dirty, flagrant, so.
Well, that's good. That means Joe and I were correct then in our assessment during the game. So
you usually are.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have clips 10 through 18, including 2 plays from one play running out of time at the end of the second half, and then 2 untimed downs. Haven't seen that in a long time. We'll be back right after this.
You're watching Rules of the Game with Bill Krugh, brought to you by these fine sponsors. Albert Sporting Goods, American Legion Post 323, Auglaze Equipment Rental, Capabilities, David Wabacher Attorney, Eagles 767, FCA, Fowler's TV, Freedom Marketing Strategies, Grand Lake Roofing, Guarneri's Pizzeria, Jackalope Stash, Larry Schaff Auto Sales, Laura Yelton State Farm, MHS Alumni Foundation, Miller Funeral Homes, Minster Bank, Plus One Professional Real Estate, Ryder Rooters, Roots Pub, St. Mary's Foundry, Sean Barnett Electrical, Spees Chiropractic and Wellness Center, Spring Street Storage, TSC, and Varsity Lanes.
Welcome back to Rules of the Game with Bill Krugh. I'm your host, Zach Ferrall. Bill, let's jump right back into the clip. So this was a punt, not in the second half yet, I don't believe, by Shawnee, and there was no roughing the kicker called on this one. And I think some of the Shawnee fans wanted it, but I thought it was just a good acting job by the Shawnee punter. And, again, nothing was called on this particular one.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there.
So we'll watch this again. A couple St. Mary's guys standing around there.
Actually, he went down before the guy touched him, I think.
Yeah.
I believe. That's a good no call by that referee.
So maybe he wins a Academy Award, but
yeah,
not a penalty on that one. This next play, there was no pass interference called, and this was a pass for St. Mary's, trying again, I think, to catch a deep touchdown here. Was this the right call? Could there have been pass interference on offense, maybe?
I think if there was anything there, it would have been on the offense, but I think that's a good no call. The defensive player just found where he was. He put his hand on him and then looked to turn and batted it down with the other hand. So the defensive player did a nice job there. He did exact. And the offensive player, I don't think it was.
Yeah, the ball was just underthrown.
Yeah. There was nothing there. It was a good no call by the official.
All right. So I thought this clip was interesting. We'll go ahead and start playing this. We don't have, I don't know if we've ever done a clip like this before, but for some reason they let the camera run into the timeout. So the play ends here, timeout is called, and I just thought we could watch what the officials do during the timeout and talk about, what kind of things do you do. I saw them all take out notepads.
Yep.
And then, 2 gather around the ball, 2 gather in the backfield. What's going on during a timeout?
Okay. You're writing down who called the timeout, because each team gets 3 per half.
And you have to keep track of that in case the scoreboard goes out? Or?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
We need to be in charge of that. They're talking about that. This wing guy over who's talking to the umpire right there in the center, he's supposed to be back there to make sure that if the player, one player can go to the sideline. If they all go over, it should be at the third, inside the numbers.
Okay.
Right about the numbers is where they want them. And there should be an official back there in case a coach has a question or anything needs to. But he's out there probably going over, hey, this coach wants you to watch something.
Gotcha.
So he's just communicating with one of the inside officials to whatever it could be. If a coach might be saying, hey, watch number 72, he's holding our defensive end. And so he's just communicating that at that timeout to that umpire, say, they're seeing this, so let's keep an eye on it, something like that.
Yeah.
And everybody's just making sure that we have the same amount of timeouts. They're just communicating just so everybody's on the same page.
And did you have any questions about a play a couple plays ago, or?
Did you see the same thing I did?
Yeah,
Gotcha. Stuff like that. Yeah,
Gotcha.
You talk about stuff like that.
All right. Well, I'm just curious because we always see them gathering on the field, but we don't always know what they're talking about.
Yep.
It's sort of a mystery there. Okay, so this is the big kind of moment official-wise in the game. This was at the end of the first half. Shawnee's out of, I think the time had run here on the clock. Ball is just thrown deep, out of bounds, and they call roughing the passer. So there's no time left on the clock.
Correct.
So first of all, do you think that's the right call for roughing the passer?
Yes, I do.
And what are they looking at when they're calling roughing the passer there?
Okay, he got rid of the ball. The defensive player saw that he got rid of the ball. He's looking right at him. The ball's gone, and he had time. To me, I agree with that. The referee there, he had time to hold off. He didn't need to shove him to the ground. So I think that's a good call. He could have touched him or brushed by him, but he decided to shove him to the ground, and the ball is gone, and he could have avoided that contact. So.
Okay, so clock has run out. So good defensive penalty called there.
Yep.
And so why is there an untimed down?
If there's a penalty at the end of any period, accepted penalty, you have an untimed down. On
offense or defense?
Yes.
Okay. So if that would have been an offensive penalty, they could have declined an offensive penalty though. But if for some reason St. Mary's wanted to accept an offensive penalty, they would give the offense an untimed down.
Yeah, so why would you do that? There's no time left on the clock, right?
Yeah, I can only think of it as if it pushes them out of field goal range.
Well, the time ran out, so
okay.
They would have declined. St. Mary's would have declined
Right.
it and went to the half.
Right. I was thinking if they're in field goal range and you want to, and they get a 15-yard penalty, well, it wouldn't matter. You'd still decline it because the half is over.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
You should always decline it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I talked myself out of it.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So the next play then.
So they get an untimed down.
They get an untimed down. They've moved up to the 35-yard line.
Okay.
They were at the 20 before. They take another shot deep. This one actually, the guy catches it, runs for a little bit, and what they called the
flag came in there real late.
Yeah, flag came in late from the back judge. The hand motion he made was a fist to the helmet. So you and I talked. That could be a few different things, right?
Yeah.
If you watch here, I think what he's calling is the St. Mary's, I think 48 right there at the end, sort of comes in there after the guy's down head first. And we do have a end zone view of this one that maybe will give us a different angle.
You know, this is targeting. This is a hit to the, not necessarily targeting, is a hit to the head.
Is this also using the crown of your helmet?
Oh, that would be targeting. That would be part of the targeting.
Targeting, all right.
Boy, I can't see it. I don't know why. He probably just, it could be spearing, you know, like he come in and speared him.
And we were able to see sort of on the Rider Nation view, you can see him, 48 there is laying, his helmet, he's laying on the ground next to the guy. So it was almost like, you know, maybe if he would have actually connected with him, maybe it would have been a good call. But it didn't look like he was even, it didn't look like number 48's even close to it. If we can play it one more time and then maybe stop it. I think, yeah, I'll tell you when to stop it here. Right now. So I think 48 is the player right behind him right there. And if we can just go forward a little bit slow. He just sort of leads with his head. One more frame maybe. Onto the ground. At the feet of the other offensive guy. One more frame.
That's tough to see.
Yeah. And I think from that angle, and you can see him there laying on the ground next to the Shawnee receiver and the other guy. So it's tough to see. I don't think there was any actual contact between him and the Shawnee player and from the other view. So it's one of those things we're called, is what we're saying here.
And you got to live with it, yep.
So that was called. So that was on the untimed down. So the untimed down continues.
Correct.
I think we were a little confused in the booth because the clock kept getting reset to 1 second left. Should the clock be reset at all, or should it just be 0?
Should be 0.
Okay, because it's just being played untimed. All right.
Yep.
And maybe that was just the way that the clock had to reset itself or something. So this was the next call then. So they are moved up all the way to, I think, the 15-yard line here after that penalty. They've gone 65 yards on penalties, I think. They throw up kind of a prayer, and it looks like to us, it looked like the St. Mary's guy grabbed him before the ball was there. Your thoughts?
Okay.
Sort of scrambles, just throw those up for a prayer.
Well, he grabbed him, that's for sure.
Can we slow it down maybe closer to the catch? We can try to time it up to the...
Did the Shawnee coaches complain?
Yes, they did. Yeah, that was right before the half, so I think there was some jawing there before.
Yeah.
So let's watch it right here, slowed down. Ball's in the air. And we can see sort of that.
He's got his arm wrapped around him, and the ball's still above the crossbar. Yeah.
So probably should have been a pass interference in the end zone there.
Probably should have been. Yep.
Where would the ball be placed then?
Half the distance. Where was the ball snapped from?
15-yard line.
Half the distance to goal. It would have went to 7.5 and an untimed down.
If that would have been on like the 16 or 17-yard line, because I'm not positive on that, would it have been then all the way to the 2 or the 3?
No.
Okay.
The only way it would have been to the 2 would have been if the ball was snapped at the 4. Anything inside the 20.
Inside the 20, okay.
Inside the 20 on a 15-yard penalty, which pass interference is a 15-yard penalty, you go half the distance to the goal.
Gotcha.
Anything inside the 30, not the 20,
inside
the 30.
The 30, okay.
It would be half the distance to the goal. Now, if it's a 10-yard penalty, anything inside the 20. So, do your math. And
Gotcha. So, break there for St. Mary's.
It looked like a break for St. Mary's.
And I had an end zone view of this. It's the same view. That's the view that we use there. Oh, actually, no. Sorry, this was a new clip. Okay, so later in the game, we looked at the punt earlier, and there was a punt that was not called roughing the kicker. This one was called roughing the kicker.
Okay.
So this was hard because the punter drops it. He's scrambling. He sort of starts to run, and then he gets a kickoff. And it didn't help that the officials, you can see the Shawnee players are still arguing. The officials took a long time before they called this one. So they called roughing the kicker. Is this the right call?
Well, is the punter going down before the guy ever? Well, that's a tough one. Now, remember, the kick, when he fumbled the ball and he picked it up, he's now a runner, okay? And he's a runner until he punched the ball. So he's open to be hit. And there's 4 things when he punched the ball. Was the guy pushed into the punter? No, he wasn't. Was that contact avoidable? That's the big one on this play here. Was that contact avoidable? Should he have not touched that punter once because he gets the ball away?
And that's a judgment call.
That's a judgment call. That's the referee's call. He's looking right at it. He should be focused right in on that. And he got the ball away before the contact was there. Now, was he pushed into him? Was the ball tipped? That would waive all that stuff off. And was the contact avoidable? And under his thinking, the referee's thinking, he should have avoided that contact with that punter. Because he is now a punter back. He's, again, a punter, but he was considered a runner until he punched the ball.
So, and we've talked about this before, I think. It doesn't, at any point, any player, once they throw the ball or kick the ball, they're protected with the roughing the passer and roughing the kicker.
Correct.
But that's the point of whether it was avoidable or not is interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'll just be honest, from looking at it, I think it was probably avoidable. He probably could have. But I also don't think he really necessarily hit him that hard from that angle. I will tell you at the time it didn't look like that. So
the ball's away.
Right.
And now he's going to make – it didn't look like but it doesn't have to be.
Just has to be contact.
It just has to be contact. It doesn't have to be – and it doesn't – if he just barely touches him, no, he's not going to call that. But the guy did go to the ground, and it did look like he had his arm around him.
Yep.
From the back angle, it looked like he had his arm around him. So I understand why the referee called what he did.
Gotcha. All right, we're going to look now at the last game. This was just a basic unsportsmanlike penalty on number 13 for Shawnee. We had called it out during the game on Rider Nation Station, but I thought we'd take a look at here. I actually didn't think it was that bad, actually. So number 13 is engaged with his guy, and then he sort of just throws him by there.
Which one was
Let's
number 13?
Replay that, please. So number 13 is, I think, in the backfield here. I think he's a running back. Oh, no, he came in. So he was a wing back. So let's replay that.
You can't tell their numbers.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Which one is he? This guy here?
Yep. So he's the slot back. So he gets engaged with the guy there, and then he just sort of throws him away. I think he does hit him on the helmet, though. But I thought that was just kind of part of the football play myself.
There's a lot worse contact all along that line than that was.
It says at the end of the game, maybe they're looking at, trying to keep tempers down or the teams from fighting, or maybe he was warned before.
When scores get out of control like this one is, you hear a lot of chipping, a lot of going back and forth, and you have to be on top of that stuff, and maybe that's what it was for. Maybe
Gotcha.
that's what it was. Maybe number 13 was one of the kids that has been running his mouth the whole game, and they're just trying to say, hey, calm down.
You call something on that so you don't see fists flying later.
Exactly, yeah. You got to stay on top of that kind of stuff, or, it can happen.
Well, I thank you very much. This was interesting journey through 18 clips. As you saw, there were lots of things there. I didn't even include all of the penalties because there's so many. But very interesting, the ones that we were able to look at.
Well, that was a whole load of them, wasn't it?
It sure was. Well, for Bill Krugh, I'm Zach Ferrall. Hope everyone enjoyed today's show. We'll see everybody next week.
Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.